Your 3-year-old toddler? My 7-year husband.
That's cool.
Just unexpected, but it's okay. We're learning to deal with this because we're in project management right now.
Yes, adaptability.
Okay, so, and I'm assuming that, from what we've read, from what we understand, is that the project, um, the people that measure success within a project are the people that are putting the money for it. In some aspects, some people would say it would be the end product, the end user. What is measuring success to you on a project?
On a project, so right now, I measure success on, I've got what I call RTAP, repair turnaround time, which is a matrix. And then I have a UTAT, which is upgrade turnaround time. So, kind of, if we get a unit in, it is either for repair or they're wanting a new toy. So they want a new camera or something tricked out installed on their unit. So with those, we get a turnaround time of, hey, you received my unit, I want it back in 120 days, or I want it back in 190 days, or whatever. So, and we're expected to, there's 5 gates that I meet. So each of my units, which is kind of complicated because I have like 60 to 80 units at any one time, which ends up being they're about $2 million a piece. So it's quite a bit of inventory. So each one of those goes through gates 1 through 5. 5 is gate 1 is it coming in the door, gate 5 is it leaving. Getting final sign off and getting customer acceptance. So I track those along each one, and each gate I know about how long it should take. I got an average tap time for queue time is what it is for every single operation, for every single gate. So I'm tracking, and you constantly have to make data-driven decisions in today's world, because what we're seeing is, I literally have just been doing a quarterly financial. That's why I couldn't get to you yesterday. I'm sorry. But make data-driven decisions, and I was sitting there having to play mediator between 2 people because they're saying, hey, this is what the number's showing, and he's like, you should have known this whenever you bid it. And I'm like, calm down. So it's just it's kind of a crazy thing, but you have to adapt to it. You have to know where you're at on these. So I'm constantly tracking those gates, and I'm constantly tracking the hours and how long these are taking, because we have a call with the customer weekly. So I present a slide and we say, sir, this is where we're at on this unit. We expect blah, 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 and such and such. And then if a date slips, he goes, well, why the heck did that happen? And I'm like, well, you got a second? So, anyways.
Man, so you're telling us that you said slides, so we're actually going to use slides in the real world?
No.
Okay. You're like, no, not at all.
I mean like a date slide.
Oh, okay.
I wish.
Yeah, I wish. Well, there's so many processes that are in project management, from developing a project charter, integration management, scope management, time management, cost, quality, and so much more. What do you think is the most important and most vital process to make sure that a project is successful?
feel like we should be playing the like Jeopardy, Final Jeopardy music right now. So can I say two things?
Yes.
Okay. So organization and time management, probably. Because, well, you could say organization and communication. Because time management, I feel like, kind of rolls into being organized. Because ultimately, if you can arrange your calendar and you can cram enough stuff into that day, as long as you're staying on task, you should be able to get it done. So, I would have to say, but you just don't realize how important little things like doing the hard stuff, the planning up front goes into something. That is, it's just like painting a house. If you don't lay down the tape and everything before you get to spraying, you ain't gonna have a successful project when you're done. I'm telling you that right now. You're gonna have spray everywhere, and you failed. So do the prep work, put in the time, mitigate your risk where you can, keep constant lines of communication. Boom.
Wow, nice, awesome. Do you have any advice for anyone that's looking to go into project management and like if you were to go back 10 years or before you went into project management, what advice would you give yourself?
So, ultimately, I did not hop right into project management. And you're not going to be, unless you're extremely lucky, you're not going to be a manager starting off. You're going to be one of the people that is, I don't want to say a peon because that's not, but you're going to be just one of the little guys. You're the entry level, do whatever kind of person. But, keep an open mind. Always keep your ears open. One of the most important things that I can express is to constantly have, and I'm going to show you something. As I'm stepping on Mercedes energy questions I have on the floor, I'm sorry. See this?
Uh-huh.
Keep a notebook with you at all times. And when you have a conversation with Sheila about something, put it in your notes, because ultimately you can be like, Sheila, we talked about that on Friday the 3rd, and you said it would be done today at 2. Are you done? But what I'm saying, it's important to just document. Documentation helps with clarification purposes, helps ultimately at the end of every meeting. You know what I do? I have my notes, and if it's my meeting, and sometimes if it's not my meeting, if I want to ramrod something, I'll be like, okay, so here's my actions. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, and anything else. And people are like, okay. So that's part of organization, just keeping your notes with you, understanding, because sometimes somebody may say something that you don't understand in a meeting, and you can ask for further clarification. It don't make you look stupid, to ask somebody, hey, not to reiterate, but can you maybe tell me a different way? I'm not really following. Let them know, hey, sorry, I know this is an inconvenience to you, but I just need some help with something. So never, always be open. I remember the first time, my first meeting I went into, If you have been in the military, if there's anyone been in the military, that right there, like, they talk in acronyms, and it is crazy. They're like, we got an EAC, that we need WIP over in the EAC, and you're just like, well, I remember looking at my boss, and my boss, what's funny is she knew that it was my first meeting and I was going to be deer in the headlights, because she looked at me while people were talking, and I just am like, oh my gosh. And she goes, I'll send you an acronym guidebook. And I was like, and they literally had an acronym guidebook. It was crazy.
That's insane.
So every industry is a little different. So it's almost impossible to say, oh, here's what you should expect going into this industry. I had to learn a new language because I did not speak acronym. I'm serious. Like, going from one defense company to the other, the language stayed the same. Like, they still spoke like that. And then if you go into any Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine facility, you're going to hear the same talk. So it's just kind of funny. But, you know, you're not going to hear that same talk in the automobile industry or whatever, but you see what I mean? You'll hear a different slang. And so you have to pick up on those things. So always have your ears open, always have your mind open. And I like to always think of not now, but 5 from now, and 5 from now. So it's kind of like Matthew McConaughey said, I always want to be the best me that I can be, and I'm never going to get there. And it's crazy because he's like, if I ever quit trying to be the best me that I can be, then I'm not doing me justice anymore. And he goes, and I'll probably tell you I'm dead. So it's something that stuck with me. That was actually, I listened to a commencement speech he did for the University of Houston, and that's something he said, and it was pretty awesome. So
Nice. Yeah, he's definitely an amazing person, and I know he's from Texas, right?
yes.
All right, let's go Lincoln. Woo! He represents Lincoln. Any final words? Any final thoughts?
Y'all, you won't hear that one in Florida. So I cannot express to you how important it is to, wherever you go in there with an open mind. Don't go in there with a preconceived notion of how things should be. Or, I know a lot of the stigma around millennials and whatnot has been like, or whatever generation it is now these days, I have no clue. They have this idea of self-entitlement. Success is earned. It's not given. So remember that. You're not going to rise to the top overnight. It's kind of naive to think that. I would have to say that throughout my experience in it, it's been a whirlwind. And what I will tell you is, when I started, I always was like, you know, if I just make it to being a program manager, that's what I want to be. And then when you get there, you're like, okay, well, if I just get this. So, you know, success, you need to find what makes you successful. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying. You can chase a dollar sign, you can chase a title, you can chase whatever you want to chase, but ultimately the person that you should be chasing is just like McConaughey said, that person and always trying to be your best self. Took me a while to figure that out and somebody's like, well, it's easy for you to say because you've gotten all these things now. And I'm like, you know what? I think, because there was a time, and this is really strange, like me and my wife, we sold our house in our old hometown and we moved to where we live now. And our house wasn't built and we lived in an apartment and it was kind of nuts. Like it was all of us crammed into a small space, and I was just like, you know what? If this is what we had, and I'm okay with this right here. And I would have to say that whether or not there's a dollar sign in front of what you're chasing, or a title in front of what you're chasing, always try to chase your better self, because quite frankly, that's what we should all aspire to be, is better. Better people, better leaders, better managers. So, better students, better teachers. Better teachers. No, I'm just kidding. that ultimately is what I would have to say to people, because you can spend your whole life chasing after those things, and ultimately if you look back at what you got, and you are not okay with the person you were to get there, what did it matter? So be true to yourself, be humble in a world that always wants people to take credit for everything. It's okay to let your team members shine. Like, oh my God, that makes me so happy if a team member moves on, or if, I'm like, my God, that is the best praise that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
That is, because it's like, man, I've done something. Like, I've meant something to someone. That is a measure of success. So find what it means to you, go after it full force, and never stop.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. So if you guys have any other questions or anything, feel free to inbox me, and we'll make sure to get that out to Mr. Russell out here. And again, that's Mr. Russell Ross from Raytheon, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you.